Please help me welcome the great governor of the state of Florida, Jeb Bush. Thank you all very much. Karen Parker of Charleston wants to know, how would you bring jobs back to America and increase opportunities for small businesses?
There are more businesses being closed today than being started. First time ever in American history. When you think about that. We led the nation in small business growth when I was governor, and it wasn't because I had a government program. I have a small business creation government program. That's oxymoronic. That's lacking. That's like the Department of Energy having a venture capital arm and picking winners in the renewable energy business. How'd that cylinder thing work out? You know, markets work, freedom works. So how do you create a free market where people pursue their dreams and have the capacity to achieve earned success? That's the mission. Well, you would start with the most convoluted tax code in the world, which is the United States tax code, with all the well-intended carve-outs and, you know, deductions and credits and all these things, because that's how they roll in Washington. A lobbyist gets, you know, they're either there to protect the sanctuaries for people, the incumbents, to, you know, kind of run without having competition, or they're there to create a little bit of an incentive, and people become dependent upon these things. We should lower rates as far as possible and eliminate as many deductions, and my plan does just that.
How would you reform the education system to ensure that all students, no matter their zip codes, their ethnic background, poverty, receives a quality education?
The federal government's role in this needs to be secondary to what goes on at the states, but anytime a state has the courage to transform these government-run, politicized, adult-focused monopolies, the federal government ought to be a partner in disrupting that relationship and moving to a child-centered system with higher expectations for every kid. So I'll give you an example. In Nevada, another one of my favorite states, not nearly as important as South Carolina, but right after. It's in February, so the February states are important. I'm spending a lot of time there. Brian Sandoval, a really great governor, and the legislature, led by Republicans, created an ESA, which I know is exactly what you support, and I totally support Senator Scott's efforts in Washington to do this. So we're attached at the hip at this. Why not have, if a state has an education savings account, in effect in Nevada, any parent can send their kids with that scholarship amount, which is equal to the state and local funding. I mean, this is a big deal, to be able to go to a private school. If that's that is the ultimate goal. The federal government money for Title I, for IDEA, for early childhood education should follow that. And if you get to that, that's America. Move into a student-centered system where everybody's competing for mom and dad's dollars or mom's dollars or whatever it is, you're going to see disruption like nobody's business. And whether it's a traditional public school or a high-performing charter school or a private school or this school or any school or homeschoolers, you're going to see rising student achievement.
And one of the questions that needs to be answered is, as President of the United States, what would be your approach to ISIS and Islamic terrorism?
Sure.
There's no question that today we have a president who is unable to form a sentence that includes Islamic terrorists are a major part of our foreign policy and a target that we need to eliminate, the extremists.
And a strategy would mean that you would have to engage in Iraq, where you embed with the Iraqi military, where you arm directly the Kurdish forces, where you re-engage with the Sunni tribal leaders that we did with great success under David Petraeus, where the surge worked. It was a courageous act. Men and women lost their lives in uniform, but it left Iraq in a stable situation. When we pulled back, that void now is filled with this caliphate, and we need to re-engage, not with us being the end-all and be-all, the world's policeman. That's not what I'm suggesting. But without American leadership, we're not going to see any action. We need to make sure that our sorties are strategic, which means we need to reestablish forward-leaning military presence to be able to take out ISIS.
We need someone who will bring this country together. We've seen it happen in South Carolina from the shootings of Emmanuel 9, where our state came together. The last is flooding that we've seen. Neighbors been helping neighbors, strangers helping strangers. It's been amazing. As President of the United States, how do you bring our country together and lead us into the promised land?
Well, I'm no Moses. Just for the record, Moses got him there and then didn't make it.
Exactly. It's better to be Joshua, actually.
But it showed leadership for sure. Look, I hope you get a sense that I have a servant's heart. I think we need servant leadership in this country. We don't need Somehow we've changed the whole dynamic about leadership where if you actually, like I just did, said I think we need people with a servant's heart, that servant leadership matters. That's a sign of weakness. That's just ridiculous. A person who can assume that people that disagree with them aren't bad, aren't evil, whose impulse isn't to push someone down to make themselves look better, will have a fighting chance to forge consensus to fix things. In this administration, we've had a gifted president, and I don't ascribe bad motives. I just think he's wrong on these issues. If you start with the premise that someone may not be wrong in terms of what their motives are, but are wrong as it relates to the policies, you can then persuade people about a better way.